My name is Susan Shirley, and I'm Mosshollow Hill and Friends.
Okay, and Friends. Now, I asked you what you did, and you said what?
Do you want me to tell you the real thing?
Yes, I do want to tell you the real thing.
A repeat customer whom I adore, who's also a fiber artist, she said yesterday, Susan, I come to your booth for the weird shit.
Well, I did say to him, we have to go to Mosshollow and pick up the weird shit, girl. No, I completely understand, because it kind of is. I mean, look at you, you're an eclectic soul, right? I was saying earlier that you and I could not be more different in the eyes of that right now at this moment, and yet we are very alike in some ways. I would say maybe one of them is we like all of the things that diversity brings to life.
Correct.
And we're both Hobbit people.
We're both Hobbit people.
Okay,
My work is inspired by film, by pop culture, by music, by literature.
Okay, so now I'm going to start the way around the booth here. Film, there's an example right here behind you. Right here. Now, I believe in Nargles, is that correct?
Yes.
So I'm Harry Potter, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a Harry Potter fan back when I was first getting my teaching credential. It changed the way that I approach teaching. I very much am in support of the LGBTQ plus community, so I'm a little disappointed with some of the politics surrounding the books, but they changed my life as a teacher and as a maker.
So now tell me just a moment about the teaching component here. You have a regular other time job like many of us in farming and fiber do.
I am a full-time public school teacher, 6th grade in an elementary school.
I am so sorry.
Nope, it's good. I love it. 25 years.
25 years and you're still here.
I'm still here. I'm vertical.
Yeah, because I think 6th grade is the beginning of combat, right? And then 7th and 8th is when the true battle starts.
Puberty hits hard. About 5th grade, 6th grade, they start to really test themselves. But what I love about being a teacher and being a fiber artist is combining all of that and helping the kids learn about the natural world, about how they can be makers and not consumers, and try to figure out who they are as makers.
As makers, and I love that idea. We've heard that before many times, the maker concept, and that really, it crystallizes things in a more concise way, because making, creating can be anything in the fiber world, and you sort of have encapsulated that. So tell me a little bit about this outfit and what all that goes into it.
This was a cosplay that I made for a Harry Potter convention back in 2010. It was in Florida when the park opened, and a bunch of Harry Potter nerds would get together once a year. So this was my Luna Lovegood has tea with the mer people. So I'm a big believer in the weird kids, the unusual kids, the kids that don't quite fit in. So I've always identified as that. And my family's always been very supportive of me being a very strange child. So I encourage that in my students, but also to accept other people for who they are and not try to fit them into a box.
Yeah, everybody's not made the same.
No.
I always felt like I was my siblings would tell me I'm like the kid that they found out there in the Cabbage Patch, because it was so very different than my family in a very traditional way, but it's a different thing. So different is different no matter what. You don't always feel like you fit in. So this is a really lovely thing though, because a lot of your work is odds and ends from many different places, and yet they don't look like odds and ends, right?
This was leftover gauze that I got when I got my wisdom teeth pulled. So I had all this extra fiber fabric, and I said, what am I going to do? So this is Nuno felted.
That's just wild.
This is a skirt made of all kinds of different fabrics that once meant something to me. An old T-shirt. The bustle is, again, all kinds of crocheted, Nuno felted, sewn, stitched pieces.
You could actually make things for the set. I mean, that's pretty complex here. So show me a couple of the other things that you have here, because it's not all that wild or that creative or that much a cosplay type thing. I mean, some of these are very lovely. You could actually wear them out.
Oh, I do. People say, where do you wear your things? You got to wear it to 7-Eleven. You go, no free ads, but you go to the store, you wear your clothes. So this is wool from our sheep. We have Wensleydale Romney. They are.
Do this. Am I allowed to do that?
Yes,
Okay,
please squish. Our sheep are pets. We're not a big fiber flock. We've only had 4, the 2 moms and their babies, and the moms passed when they were about 15. The babies are about 10 and a half now. So I do my own dyeing.
I want to touch everything in this
please.
booth. So now, are these all yours, or are these repurposed?
No, these are repurposed.
Okay.
There's a shop in Monterey that I am quite a fan of, Slow Fiber, and she repurposes and resells everything. So it's buy, sell, trade for everything fiber. So I always go by her and get different scraps, but this is great for needle felting. So I teach all the 6th graders how to needle felt. So you take wool and you can, create whatever you want, 3-dimensional, 2-dimensional, but why buy something brand new when you can repurpose?
I think that's delightful. and so the repurposing content, this is an interesting thing. People will say, well, is it used? Is it something that comes from something else? But it's a lovely concept that I think this generation has really gotten into a little bit more. It has a circular, it's sort of a holistic moment where we sit and say, what comes around goes around and goes. It's not just going into the ground again. There's another useful life that can happen after the first set of clothing. It doesn't just have to be, oh yes, well, we're composting it.
Yeah.
You can do something else with it.
Well, fast fashion is a disaster for the planet. It's a disaster for wages, for workers' rights. So if we can take what we already have and repurpose it in some way, it gives it new life. And that's something that I always tell the kids is don't throw your stuff away. I don't want them to be hoarders. And I tell the parents, I don't want them, hoarding everything, but think before you throw it away because there is no away.
Yes. And as I tell my husband, I say I have to have something that feels good.
Yes.
And so you constantly are looking for natural fibers because they really just feel good to me. Plastics don't feel so good on my skin. I feel like I break out into sweat. I break out into sweat anyway. but it's something where a lot of these older fabrics, they have a really long lifespan and they're made out of things that feel good, wools and cottons. And so from the felting side of things, I would think that the things that have a previous life, you can really do some interesting stuff with those in a way that you can't. I'm not quite going there yet. I'm going to get caught saying, is that a mussel?
Yes, it is.
Is it
well
a mussel?
Done.
Okay.
Yes.
No, this is really interesting. So tell me about this one here.
So this was for a piece that I made for a Monterey art show. They were calling for symbiotic relationships in nature. And my partner said, well, everyone's probably going to do clownfish and anemones, so you love hydrothermal vents. And I said, I do love hydrothermal vents. So the Bathydermis mussels and the bacteria that thrives inside of them, they're in a symbiotic relationship using chemosynthesis at the bottom of the ocean. So
is this not the most interesting person?
So these are contact lens containers that I cut down and spray painted, glued, and stitched. That's my CPAP machine that I made into a crab. Components of and then it's got wool from our sheep, wool from my friends, little scraps and pieces that it's all wet felted, nuno felted, hand stitched, and machine stitched.
Now I recognize the little contact lens cases now.
Yeah.
But I would never have recognized that and that's just delightful. It has a whole new life in a way that, and I will say that the something from what other people consider to be trash to make a thing of beauty and interest, that is just a lovely, lovely concept. Yeah, and not everybody thinks that way. So, I'm in a very box kind of girl, and to be able to think outside of the box like this and make something that I can really relate to. No, I'm Monterey Bay Aquarium, we're members too. So, but to make something that I can relate to and yet have it be something that I previously would have said, okay, that goes in the trash can. That's just lovely.
Thank you.
That's lovely. And there's a lot, of symbolism in that too, because plastics in the ocean are a really bad problem. So, okay, so now I could talk with you all day, but I've got to work my way around your booth. Now you sell these various products too. So tell me about something like this.
So something like this is my sheep's wool, Wensleydale Romney, the locks. It's nuno felted. I like to wear things that many people can wear, so something that's not necessarily fitted. It can drape over a shoulder. It's a cowl. It just gives a little bit of something extra if you want to add to an outfit. I dyed that particular piece, the wool, myself. As you can tell, I love a lot of autumn dyes. And it's got some hand-spun yarn.
So and the cowls are very nice because they add an element of dressiness to
Yes.
something, and so you could take something very traditional and immediately just make it pop.
Yes.
Yeah.
And stand out. Sometimes people are a little nervous. They say, I don't think I'm brave enough to wear that. And I said, yet, you're not brave enough yet. You might get there. So
Yeah.
I encourage people.
Yeah, and I will tell you that I work at the computer all day, and so something that keeps your hands free
Yes.
while you're still getting just a little bit of warmth is delightful. Okay, so you sell the made products that you have, whether they be clothing, and I'm assuming this is art. You're gonna have to tell me because I am so simplistic about this stuff. I love it, but I have to really get out of my little box. So that's obviously a wall hanging art, okay, and educational piece,
Yes.
correct? And then you sell your wools and fibers, and then you have the hats. I know. So this is just wonderful. We might be walking out of here with one of these in a couple minutes.
I call them my scrappy caps. They're made from scrap and they're repurposed. Everything is something that I had at home without having to go buy something new and repurposing them. They're worn like a headband and they really mean something to me. Each one has a different significance.
Well, they are just lovely, and I have all this little hair that kind of flies everywhere. I've always done that, but it's gotten really bad lately. So something that just kind of keeps everything contained. That's fantastic. I love that. So we might put that on the sweater cam at Rhinebeck because we are going to head that direction.
Yay.
So that's fantastic. And vests and coats. I mean, this is you. I mean. No, and I have to come over here too.
This is Andrea's
Okay,
work.
so you have friends.
Yes.
All right. And you woodcuts
Yes.
with a purpose too.
Oh,
correct?
absolutely.
Okay,
These
so
are
tell
all
me about
tools.
those.
They're buttons. They're stitch markers. They're not stitch markers. I'm sorry. They're needle gauges. They're wraps per inch. So they're all things that fiber artists use for different reasons. Andrea, who also worked at the Monterey Bay Aquarium for 30 years, she's very much inspired by nature and science. She has a menagerie of animals, including 14 alpacas. Sorry, not 14 alpacas, 14 emus. So if you know anyone who needs
Holy cow.
emus,
Well,
she's got a lot of emus.
That's going to lead me to this, and I'm going to guess,
Yes.
and you're going to tell me how far off I am. This is an art object, box, wool, and I'm going to say it's either an emu or an ostrich egg carved. Is that right?
Ostrich egg, yes.
Okay, I got it right. Now that is just, you can sit and look at that and think, huh, that is the most interesting piece of art, and yet you have
It
to keep
is.
looking at it, right?
And she hand spun her yarn from her alpaca, who's Fozzie right there. And then she entered this in, it was an artist call for submissions using ostrich eggs. So she didn't have an ostrich, she had emus, but she said, you know what, I can do something with this. So she made the wood frame. She's incredibly talented, as you can see. She does so much with her animals in a very symbiotic way.
Okay, now I just have to say, you crafty people, this is perfectly representative. Something you never think about. It looks like a brain and all the ideas coming out.
Yes.
That's how I think of you guys. I can see what it is, and yet it would never be in my world, and yet I can appreciate it once it's
That's
done.
a perfect, that's a perfect description
That's the brain.
of
That's
her.
the crafty
Yes,
brain.
100%.
Okay, so now we're here at Lambtown in 2024, and you have a booth here. You and your friends, you all came down to do this. Are you going to be at any other shows or festivals coming up?
No, full-time public school, don't have time for that. But you guys got me through Rhinebeck last year. I couldn't attend. I was sick at home, and I got to watch the entire thing
You
through
watched
you.
our live stream? Okay,
I did.
What would you say if you wanted to see a little bit more of on the live stream? What would you have us go fetch this year?
Interviews with people that catch your eye.
Okay.
So if there's someone that just seems different, they stand out, they don't fit the norm of what a fiber festival, because it's so much yarn, there's so much wool, but what stands out to you, that's the thing. If
Okay,
it speaks
well,
to you, I want to know who they are.
You do realize that it's like this little ADD moment
Oh,
back
yeah.
there, because everybody is, there's just color and fiber and
It's overwhelming.
eclectic things and tattoos. I could just spend 2 days going around looking at everybody's interesting tattoos at Rhinebeck. Stuff you've never seen before. So hopefully when you're going to be there with us, that would be great.
We're talking, we want to go, road trip someday,
trip.
yes.
Okay, so
Long road trip.
So I have to shop here, and I know, boy, oh boy, you're going to have people walking in the door. So tell us, if people want to find you and your friends and your products, where do they go?
Mosshollowhill.com is my website, but I barely keep it up because of the school thing.
Sure.
I'm pretty Instagram savvy, so I'm on Instagram all the time.
Okay.
And if anyone is ever interested in collaborating or working on some kind of creative project, they can reach out through me through email on the website.
We might have one coming up.
Oh
for
yeah,
you here,
let me know.
I think.
Repurposing is particularly my strength.
I agree. Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
This
you,
has
Hobbit
been delightful.
friend.
Hobbit friend. We'll end this too, but you might not.
Oh.
Thank you very
Yep.
much. Yeah. May the force be with you.
Yes.